The call to duty. Captain Alex Ramirez stood on the balcony of the military base, looking out over the sprawling city of New Chicago. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow across the sky. Alex loved this view, but tonight it felt different. The air was thick with tension. Rumors of an impending alien invasion had spread like wildfire, and whispers of war echoed through the halls of command. As he turned back to the base, the sound of heavy footsteps approached. It was Colonel Johnson, his commanding officer. "Alex, we need to talk," the colonel said, his voice serious. Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Whenever Johnson used that tone, it meant trouble. "What's going on, sir?" Alex asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The Zenthara, an alien race, are sending a diplomatic envoy to discuss peace. We believe their true goal is to gather information for an invasion," the colonel explained. "We need you to lead the security detail for their visit. You're the best we have." Alex frowned. He had always been skeptical about aliens. After the last war, which had claimed so many lives, he found it hard to trust anyone outside of Earth. But he also knew his duty as a soldier. "I understand, sir. But if they're planning an attack, how can we protect them?" he asked, concern creeping into his voice. "Their princess, Lyra, will be with them. We must ensure her safety at all costs. If we fail, it could mean disaster for both our worlds," Johnson replied. Alex nodded, knowing the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders. He had always put his team first, and now he had to protect someone who might be a potential enemy. He felt the pressure building but resolved to do his job. The next morning, the atmosphere in the base was electric. Soldiers moved with purpose, preparing for the alien visitors. Alex reviewed the security plans, making sure every detail was covered. His mind raced with questions. What if they tried to attack? What if they weren't as peaceful as they claimed? When the time finally came, Alex stood at the entrance of the landing bay. His heart pounded in his chest as the ship touched down. The craft shimmered in the sunlight, sleek and unlike anything he had ever seen. It opened, and a group of aliens stepped out. They were tall and graceful, their skin shimmering in shades of green and blue. At the center was Princess Lyra. She had long, flowing hair that sparkled like stars and bright, intelligent eyes. Despite his doubts, Alex felt a strange pull toward her. She exuded an aura of strength and kindness, making him curious about her true intentions. "Welcome to Earth, Princess Lyra," Alex said, forcing himself to smile. "I'm Captain Alex Ramirez, and I will be your protector during your stay." Lyra smiled back, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Thank you, Captain. I hope our time together will bring peace between our worlds." As they walked toward the base, Alex kept a close eye on their surroundings, aware of the tension in the air. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. The weight of his duty pressed heavily on him. With each step, he reminded himself that he had to keep Lyra safe, no matter what the cost. Little did he know, this mission would change everything. The path ahead was filled with challenges, but Alex was determined to protect the princess and uncover the truth behind the Zenthara's visit. First encounter. The atmosphere in the command center was tense as Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra entered the large conference room. Soldiers and diplomats were gathered, their faces a mix of curiosity and concern. As the door closed behind them, the chatter faded, and all eyes turned toward the alien princess. Lyra stood tall, her shimmering skin reflecting the bright lights of the room. She wore a flowing gown that seemed to change colors with every movement. Alex felt a surge of protectiveness for her. She looked both regal and vulnerable at the same time. He could sense the weight of expectation hanging in the air. "Thank you for welcoming me, humans," Lyra said, her voice calm and melodic. "I am here to discuss a peaceful alliance between our worlds." A murmur of skepticism ran through the room. Some military personnel exchanged worried glances, their expressions showing doubt about the princess's intentions. Alex took a step forward, hoping to ease the tension. "Your Highness, we appreciate your presence and are eager to hear your proposals," he said, trying to sound confident. Lyra smiled, but before she could respond, the lights flickered. A loud crash echoed from outside the building, causing everyone to jump. What was that? A soldier shouted, eyes wide with fear. "Stay calm," Alex ordered, raising his hand. He quickly turned to Lyra. "We need to secure the area. Please follow me." As they moved toward the door, an explosion rocked the building. Dust and debris filled the air, and the lights went out. Panic erupted as soldiers shouted orders, and people scrambled for safety. Alex grabbed Lyra's arm, guiding her through the chaos. "Stay close to me," he shouted over the noise. They rushed down the hallway, and Alex could hear the sound of gunfire outside. His heart raced as he scanned their surroundings, looking for a safe place to hide. Suddenly, an alien soldier burst through the door, aiming a weapon directly at them. "Get down," Alex yelled, pushing Lyra to the ground just as the soldier fired. The shot missed them but struck the wall, sending fragments flying. Alex quickly drew his sidearm, ready to protect the princess at any cost. With quick reflexes, he returned fire, hitting the attacker and watching him fall. "We have to move," Alex urged, helping Lyra to her feet. They sprinted down the corridor, dodging debris and avoiding incoming fire. Lyra's eyes were wide with fear, but she did not hesitate. "We need to find a way to signal for help," she shouted, her voice strong despite the chaos. "Follow me," Alex replied, leading her toward a nearby room that he hoped would provide shelter. They burst inside, slamming the door shut behind them. The room was filled with communication equipment, and Alex immediately began searching for a way to contact the outside. "Can you operate this?" he asked, looking at Lyra. She stepped forward, her fingers deftly moving over the controls. "I can help," she said, her focus unwavering. "Let me try." As Lyra worked, Alex kept watch by the door. He could hear distant shouts and gunfire. His heart raced, not just from the danger outside, but also from the realization that he was beginning to trust Lyra. They were in this together, and he could not let anything happen to her. After a few tense moments, Lyra looked up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "I sent a distress signal. Help is on the way." Before Alex could respond, another explosion rocked the building. The door shuddered violently, and he knew they didn't have much time. "We need to hold this position until help arrives," he said, readying his weapon. Lyra nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "I won't let you down, Alex," she said, and in that moment, he realized that this mission would forge a bond between them, one that neither of them had expected. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united against a common enemy. The sound of gunfire echoed through the room as Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra prepared for the worst. The door shook violently, and dust fell from the ceiling tiles. Alex kept his weapon ready, his heart racing. They had sent a distress signal, but he knew help might not arrive in time. "Alex, what do we do?" Lyra asked, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. She had proved herself capable during the chaos, but the reality of their situation weighed heavily on them both. "We have to find another way out," Alex replied, scanning the room. His mind raced as he looked for an escape route. The windows were too high to climb out of, and the door was likely to burst open any second. Then he noticed a ventilation shaft in the corner. "There," he pointed. "We can use the vents to escape." Lyra nodded, her determination shining through. "I can fit in there," she said, moving towards the shaft. Alex quickly moved furniture to help her reach it. "But you'll have to follow behind me. It might be tight." "Let's go," Alex said, pushing aside any doubts. With one last look at the door, he helped Lyra climb into the vent. He was careful as she crawled inside, the sound of chaos growing louder. Once she was in, he followed, squeezing into the narrow space. The air was cool, but he felt the heat of the battle below. As they crawled through the dark duct, Alex tried to keep his mind focused. He could hear shouting and the thud of boots on the floor below them. "We need to move quickly," he whispered to Lyra. "They're searching for us." "I know," she replied, her voice echoing softly in the cramped space. "I can feel their anger. They won't stop until they find us." They crawled deeper into the vents, moving as quietly as possible. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a grate that overlooked a hallway. Alex peered through the bars and saw 2 alien soldiers patrolling below. He felt his heart race again. They were so close yet so far from safety. "Do you think we can take them?" Alex asked, glancing at Lyra. She considered the situation. "We need to be smart. If we attack, there might be more of them nearby. We can wait for them to pass." Alex nodded, understanding her logic. They waited in silence, the sound of footsteps growing louder. When the soldiers finally moved past the grate, Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. "Now," he whispered. They climbed down quickly, dropping silently onto the floor. As they landed, Alex could see a door at the end of the hallway that led outside. "That's our way out," he said, pointing. But just as they started to run, they heard the sound of boots approaching. "They're coming back," Alex shouted, grabbing Lyra's hand. "We have to hurry." They sprinted down the hallway, Alex's heart pounding in his chest. The door was just ahead, but he could hear the soldiers shouting behind them. He reached for the handle, his fingers trembling. "Come on," he urged Lyra as he pulled the door open. They burst into the fresh air outside, the sun blinding them momentarily. The sight of chaos greeted them. Ships flew overhead, and soldiers were engaged in battle. Alex took a moment to gather his bearings, but Lyra pulled him forward. "We need to find cover," she urged. They dashed behind a nearby transport vehicle, catching their breath. "What's our next move?" Alex asked, looking at Lyra. He could see the determination in her eyes. "We have to reach the communications tower," she said, pointing in the distance. "If we can contact my people, they can help us." "All right, let's move," Alex replied, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they raced through the chaos, dodging gunfire and explosions. As they ran, Alex felt a strange sense of camaraderie with Lyra. They were in this fight together, and he knew he would do anything to keep her safe. The bond they were forming was stronger than he had ever expected, and it fueled his determination to escape and fight back. They would find a way to survive this attack and uncover the truth behind the threat to both their worlds. A fragile alliance. Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra crouched behind the wreckage of a destroyed transport vehicle, their breaths heavy with exertion. The sounds of battle still echoed around them, but for the moment, they had found a brief respite. The chaos of the previous hours weighed on them, and the realization of their narrow escape sank in. "We need to regroup and plan our next move," Alex said, glancing at Lyra. Her face was streaked with dirt, but her eyes still shone with determination. "Do you know any safe locations nearby?" "Yes," she replied, her voice steady. "There is a rebel base not far from here. They can help us." She took a deep breath, her expression serious. "But we must convince them to trust us. They may not welcome a Xanthera princess." Alex nodded. "Let's get moving then. We can't stay here for long." They made their way through the debris, careful to avoid any open spaces where they could be spotted. As they navigated through the wreckage, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He glanced at Lyra, who was focused, her brow furrowed with concentration. He admired her bravery, knowing that she was risking everything for peace between their worlds. After several minutes of running, they arrived at the hidden rebel base, a cluster of makeshift buildings surrounded by tall trees. Alex approached cautiously, scanning the area for any signs of danger. "Stay close to me," he whispered as they neared the entrance. Two armed guards stood at the entrance, eyeing them suspiciously. Alex raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "We need to speak to your leader. It's urgent." One guard stepped forward, skepticism written all over his face. "Why should we trust you? You're with the Xanthera princess." "I'm Captain Alex Ramirez," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. "We just escaped an attack. We need your help to fight back against the real enemy." The guard hesitated, glancing at Lyra, who stood tall beside Alex, her expression fierce. "I promise you, I want peace," she said, her voice clear and strong. "The Xanthera do not wish to conquer Earth. We must unite against those who threaten both our worlds." After a tense moment, the guard nodded and stepped aside. "Fine, but if you try anything, I won't hesitate to stop you." They entered the base, and Alex felt a wave of relief wash over him. Inside, people bustled about, preparing for battle. It was a hive of activity, and he could sense the urgency in the air. Lyra's presence turned heads, and whispers filled the room. "Gather everyone." A commanding voice boomed. It was Commander Orin, a rugged man with a weathered face. He approached them, his eyes piercing. "You're the alien princess. What do you want here?" Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "I seek an alliance. Our worlds are under threat, and if we do not work together, we will both fall." Orin crossed his arms, studying her carefully. "You expect us to believe that? Your people have tried to invade before." Alex interjected, "But this time is different. We were attacked, and Lyra saved my life. We need to focus on the real enemy." He felt the urgency in his chest. Time was running out, and they needed to act fast. After a long pause, Orin nodded slowly. "Fine. We will give you a chance. But know this. If you betray us, there will be no second chances." Lyra nodded, relief washing over her face. "I promise we are allies now." Orin turned to his team. "Let's prepare for battle. We will show the aliens that we stand together." As they gathered around a large map of the area, Alex felt a sense of hope. The alliance was fragile, but it was their best chance at survival. Together, humans and Xanthera could fight back against the true enemy. Alex glanced at Lyra, and their eyes met. In that moment, he realized that this fragile alliance could turn into something much stronger. They were no longer just a soldier and a princess. They were partners, bound by a shared goal. With determination, they began to strategize, knowing that the fight for their worlds was only just beginning. Growing tensions. The atmosphere in the rebel base was charged with tension as Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra worked alongside Commander Orin and his team. They had gathered in a dimly lit room, surrounded by maps and communication equipment. Plans for their counterattack against the invading aliens were laid out before them, but the mood was far from hopeful. "Here is the main enemy base," Orin pointed at a large red dot on the map. "We need to hit them hard and fast before they regroup." Lyra leaned in closer, studying the layout. "But if we go in recklessly, we risk losing everything we've gained. We need a plan that minimizes casualties." Orin crossed his arms, frustration showing on his face. "You don't understand our tactics. We fought against them before. We can't wait too long. They will strike again." Alex felt the growing divide between Orin and Lyra. "We need to find a balance," he said, trying to keep the peace. "Rushing in without a plan will only get us killed." Lyra nodded in agreement. "We have to be strategic. We can use my people's technology to our advantage. It can help us get in and out without being detected." The argument hung in the air like a dark cloud. Orin shifted his gaze between them, his jaw clenched. "And how can we trust that your technology will work? Your people have tried to invade Earth before. What's to stop you from turning on us?" Alex stepped forward, anger bubbling inside him. "This is not the time for distrust. We're in this together now. If we don't work as a team, we will all be lost." The tension in the room thickened. Lyra's expression was a mix of hurt and determination. I am here to prove that we want peace. I risked my life to come to you, and I'm asking for your trust. Oren's voice softened slightly, but his gaze remained firm. Trust is earned, Princess. We cannot afford mistakes. Realizing that the disagreement was only growing, Alex took a deep breath. Maybe we can test a smaller operation first. See how well we work together before launching a full-scale attack. A reconnaissance mission, perhaps. Lyra looked at him, hope flickering in her eyes. That's a good idea, Alex. It could help build trust between our people. Oren nodded slowly, still skeptical. All right, we'll send a small team to gather intel. But I'm still watching you, Princess. With the plan set, they began preparing for the mission. As Alex gathered supplies, he felt the weight of the situation on his shoulders. He glanced at Lyra, who was speaking with some of the rebel soldiers. Her passion was evident, but so was the doubt in the eyes of those around her. Are you okay? Alex asked, stepping closer. Lyra sighed, running a hand through her hair. I thought we could unite easily, but every time I open my mouth, I can see the fear in their eyes. They see me as a threat, not an ally. It's not just you. They've been through a lot. Trust takes time, Alex replied, trying to comfort her. But I believe in what you're fighting for. She smiled faintly, the warmth of his words bringing her a bit of comfort. Thank you, Alex. It helps to know you're by my side. As the team prepared for the mission, Alex felt a sense of camaraderie with Lyra growing stronger. Yet he was aware of the delicate nature of their alliance. If they didn't succeed, all hope for peace could shatter. The stakes were high, and he knew that failure would only deepen the divide between their peoples. That night, as they gathered for a final briefing, Alex looked around the room. Tension hung thick in the air, but there was also a sense of resolve. Together, they would step into the unknown. The road ahead would be dangerous, but if they worked together, they might just find a way to bridge the gap between their worlds. With determination in his heart, Alex glanced at Lyra one more time. She was ready to fight for her people, and he was ready to stand beside her. They were about to face the biggest challenge of their lives, but together, they would try to turn the tide of war into an opportunity for peace. The betrayal. The night was silent except for the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra prepared for their reconnaissance mission. They had gathered a small team of trusted soldiers, but the tension from the previous discussions still lingered in the air. Each person seemed on edge, unsure of what lay ahead. Remember, our goal is to gather information about the enemy's defenses, Alex reminded the team, his voice steady but firm. We move quickly, stay quiet, and follow my lead. As they slipped into the shadows, Lyra walked beside him. I can sense the fear among your people, she said softly. They don't trust me yet. It will take time, Alex replied, glancing at her. But your bravery is beginning to change their minds. Just keep showing them you want peace. As they approached the enemy's camp, the sight was both impressive and intimidating. Alien ships hovered in the air, and soldiers moved in organized formations. The team crouched behind a cluster of bushes, eyes wide at the display of power. Let's split into two groups, Alex suggested. One group can scout the perimeter, while the other checks for weaknesses in their defenses. Lyra nodded, her expression focused. I'll go with you, she insisted. I have knowledge of their technology that can help us. As they moved deeper into enemy territory, the atmosphere felt charged. They crept along the edges, careful to remain hidden. Everything seemed to be going according to plan until they heard footsteps behind them. Stay low, Alex whispered, signaling the team to halt. He turned slightly to see a figure approaching, but it was not an alien soldier. Instead, it was one of their own, a rebel soldier named Marcus, who had been quiet during the meetings. What are you doing here? Alex demanded, surprised to see him so far from their camp. Marcus smirked, his eyes gleaming in the dim light. I could ask you the same thing, Captain. I heard you were planning something. Thought I'd come see for myself. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. We're here to gather intel. You need to return to base. Why should I? I have my own plans, Marcus said, his voice laced with arrogance. I don't trust the princess. She could be leading us to our doom. Before Alex could respond, Marcus pulled out a small device and activated it. Suddenly, bright lights illuminated the area, and alarms blared throughout the enemy camp. You think I'd let you interfere with my plan? He sneered. Marcus, no. Lyra shouted, stepping forward, her eyes wide with fear. But it was too late. The alien soldiers were already rushing towards them, weapons drawn. Alex's heart raced. They had to act fast. Run, he yelled, grabbing Lyra's hand as they dashed away from Marcus. They sprinted through the trees, the sounds of pursuit growing louder behind them. He's going to betray us. Lyra gasped, trying to keep pace. He'll tell them everything. We can't think about that now, Alex replied, determination surging through him. We have to get back to the base before it's too late. They raced through the dark forest, the bright lights of the enemy camp fading behind them. As they ran, Alex could hear the voices of the alien soldiers and the sound of gunfire echoing in the distance. His mind raced with thoughts of Marcus and the chaos he had caused. After what felt like hours, they reached the edge of the rebel base. Breathing heavily, they burst through the entrance, where Commander Orin and the other soldiers were gathered, looking alarmed. Where have you been? Orin demanded, his eyes narrowing. We heard the alarms. What happened? There's a traitor among us, Alex shouted, his voice urgent. Marcus activated an alarm and led the aliens right to us. We need to prepare for an attack. Shock rippled through the room. Orin's face hardened. We can't let him warn the enemy. We need to find him first. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear surrounding them. If we work together, we can still protect our base, but we must act quickly. As they gathered to discuss their plan, Alex felt a mix of anger and dread. The betrayal of Marcus had put them all in danger, and he knew they had to be prepared for a fight. But amidst the fear, he also felt the strength of their alliance. If they could survive this attack, they might just be able to build the trust that had been so fragile before. Together, they would face the storm, united against the true enemy. And Alex vowed to protect Lyra at all costs. The final stand. The night was alive with tension as Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra stood ready within the rebel base. The air was thick with anxiety, and soldiers moved with a sense of urgency, preparing for the impending attack. News of Marcus's betrayal had spread quickly, igniting fears of an invasion. Listen up, Commander Orin shouted, gathering the troops around him. We know the enemy is coming. We must defend our home and our alliance. Every one of you has a role to play. Stay sharp and fight for each other. Alex stood at the front, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Beside him, Lyra was focused, her expression resolute. We need to set up defenses around the perimeter, she said, her voice strong despite the fear that lurked in everyone's hearts. I can help with the Xanthera technology to reinforce our barriers. Orin nodded, clearly impressed. Let's do it. Every second counts. The soldiers moved into action, following Lyra's instructions. As the team worked, Alex felt a strange mix of emotions. He had never been in a situation like this, fighting not just for his own people, but for an alliance with the Xanthera. He looked at Lyra, who was passionately directing soldiers and explaining how to use the alien tech. Her confidence inspired him, and he knew he would do anything to protect her. Suddenly, the ground shook, and a loud explosion echoed in the distance. They're here. A soldier yelled, panic rising in the air. Get to your positions, Orin commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. We stand together, no matter what. As the first waves of alien soldiers approached, Alex took a deep breath and positioned himself at the front line, gripping his weapon tightly. Lyra stood beside him, her determination shining through. "We can do this," she said, her eyes fierce. "For our people." The aliens emerged from the shadows, their figures towering and menacing. Their weapons glinted in the moonlight, and Alex felt a wave of fear wash over him. But he pushed it aside, focusing on the fight ahead. The battle began with a deafening roar as laser beams shot through the night sky. Alex fired back, his aim true. The soldiers fought bravely, and the rebels held their ground as explosions lit up the darkness. But it was clear that the alien forces were numerous, and their attack was relentless. Lyra moved beside Alex, using her knowledge of Xanthera technology to disable some of the enemy's weapons. "We need to flank them," she shouted, pointing to a group of rebels. "Follow me." Together, they charged forward, pushing against the tide of aliens. Alex could feel the adrenaline pumping through his veins. He fought fiercely, taking down enemies as they advanced. Every time he glanced at Lyra, he saw her fighting valiantly, refusing to back down. But as the battle raged on, Alex noticed something strange. "Where is Marcus?" he wondered aloud. Just then, a familiar figure appeared through the smoke, a lone soldier, holding a weapon and grinning maliciously. "It's time to end this," Marcus shouted, his voice dripping with contempt. "You thought you could trust the Xanthera. They are nothing but liars." Anger surged through Alex. "You betrayed us, Marcus. You put everyone in danger." "You're a fool, Ramirez," Marcus sneered. "And you, Princess, are nothing more than a pawn in a losing game." Before Alex could react, Marcus raised his weapon, aiming directly at Lyra. "No," Alex yelled, pushing her aside just in time. The blast missed, but Alex felt the heat of the shot singe his arm. "Enough," Oren roared, charging at Marcus. The two collided, and a fierce struggle began. Alex watched, heart pounding, as they grappled for control. In that moment, he realized that this was not just a fight for their lives. It was a fight for trust, for unity, and for the future of both their worlds. "Lyra, stay back," Alex shouted, moving to support Oren. But Lyra refused to be sidelined. She rushed forward, using her skills to help disarm Marcus, and together they pushed him back. In a final surge of strength, Alex and Oren tackled Marcus, pinning him down. The rebel soldiers surrounded them, weapons drawn. "You're finished, Marcus," Oren said, his voice cold. "Your betrayal ends here." As the fight continued around them, Alex turned to Lyra, relief flooding through him. "You okay?" "I'm fine," she said, her voice steady, but Alex could see the determination in her eyes. "But we need to finish this battle first." Together, they fought side by side, driving back the remaining alien soldiers. The night was filled with chaos, but their unity shone brightly against the darkness. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the remaining aliens began to retreat. Cheers erupted from the rebel soldiers, a wave of relief washing over the battlefield. As they stood together, breathless and covered in dust and sweat, Alex turned to Lyra. "We did it. Sacrifices made." The dawn broke over the rebel base, casting a soft glow on the aftermath of the battle. Captain Alex Ramirez stood on the rooftop, surveying the scene below. The ground was littered with debris and the remnants of the fierce fight they had just endured. He felt a heavy weight in his heart, knowing that victory had come at a great cost. As the sun rose higher, Alex noticed some of the soldiers moving among the fallen, checking for survivors and tending to the wounded. He joined them, his heart aching as he saw familiar faces, some joyful and relieved, while others were grim and filled with sorrow. "Is anyone?" he started to ask, but the look in one soldier's eyes answered his question. "Yes," the soldier said softly. "We lost several good people out there." Alex felt a lump in his throat. The faces of his fallen comrades flashed before him. friends and allies who had fought bravely beside him. He had always known that war demanded sacrifices, but it was different when it became personal. The price of their freedom had been steep, and now he had to face the reality of their loss. "Captain," Lyra's voice called out, breaking through his thoughts. She approached, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "I've been looking for you. We need to talk." "What is it?" Alex asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I spoke with Commander Orin," she said, glancing around to ensure they were alone. "We need to make a decision about Marcus. He's alive, but he's in custody, and the soldiers are demanding justice." Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. "I understand their anger. He put us all in danger. But he was once one of us. I can't just let them execute him without a trial." Lyra nodded, understanding his perspective. "But he also betrayed us at a crucial moment. What if he tries to escape or joins the enemy again? We have to find a way to hold him accountable without turning him into a martyr. He needs to see the consequences of his actions." Alex replied, his mind racing. "But he also needs a chance to change." Lyra studied him, admiration shining in her eyes. "You truly believe in second chances. It's one of the things I admire about you." Before Alex could respond, a loud voice boomed from below. Commander Orin had gathered the remaining soldiers. "Everyone, listen up. We need to mourn our losses, but we also need to think of our future. The Zenthara are our allies now. We must learn to trust each other." As the soldiers nodded, Orin continued, "We have captured Marcus. His fate will be decided soon. But today, we remember those we lost. We honor their sacrifices." A heavy silence fell over the crowd. Alex felt a knot in his stomach as he thought of the families left behind. "We should have a memorial," he suggested, his voice rising above the quiet. "A place to remember our fallen comrades." Orin nodded, his expression serious. "That's a good idea. We need to show respect for those who gave their lives for our cause. But we also must prepare for the next steps." After the brief meeting, Alex and Lyra worked together to help organize the memorial. They gathered photos, personal items, and memories of the fallen soldiers. Lyra listened to the stories shared by the rebels, each tale filled with laughter and sorrow. As they worked side by side, Alex admired Lyra's strength. She had proven herself in battle, but it was her compassion that truly touched him. She understood the importance of remembering the sacrifices made. Later that evening, they held the memorial. Soldiers and allies gathered around a small fire, sharing stories and lighting candles for their fallen comrades. The atmosphere was somber yet filled with hope. When it was Alex's turn to speak, he stood tall, looking out at the faces of those who remained. "Today, we honor our friends and family who gave everything for our freedom. They believed in this cause, and we must continue their fight. We are stronger together, humans and Zenthara. Let us never forget their sacrifices." As he finished, Lyra stepped forward, her voice ringing clear. "We stand united, not just as warriors but as a family. Together, we will build a better future, one where both our peoples can thrive." The crowd erupted into applause, their spirits lifting as they joined together in remembrance and determination. After the memorial, Alex found a quiet moment away from the crowd. He looked up at the stars, feeling the weight of the sacrifices made. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but he also knew they could face anything together. The bonds forged through loss and struggle would guide them. They had fought for their lives, their freedom, and each other. And in that fight, they had discovered a deeper understanding of what it meant to be united. With renewed resolve, Alex turned back to the gathering, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that together they would overcome. A new beginning. The days following the memorial were filled with change and hope. The rebel base, once a place of fear and uncertainty, buzzed with new energy. Captain Alex Ramirez and Princess Lyra worked tirelessly alongside Commander Orin and the soldiers to rebuild their community, both physically and emotionally. Alex looked around, amazed at how quickly the atmosphere had shifted. The walls of the base were being repaired, and tents were being set up for new recruits who had come to join their cause. People were smiling again, sharing stories of bravery and friendship. The loss they had faced only seemed to strengthen their resolve. One sunny morning, Alex stood on the rooftop, watching the sun rise over the horizon. The vibrant colors filled him with a sense of peace. He thought about the fallen soldiers and how they would want their sacrifice to lead to something greater. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Lyra said, joining him on the roof. Her eyes sparkled in the sunlight. "A new day brings new possibilities." "It does," Alex replied, turning to her. "We have a chance to make a real difference now. With our people working together, we can build something strong." Lyra smiled, her confidence evident. "And we can show everyone that our alliance is not just about survival, but about a shared future. We can learn from each other's cultures." As they stood side by side, Lyra suddenly turned serious. "About Marcus, I think we should give him a chance to redeem himself. He was misguided, but he deserves to see the truth." Alex nodded, remembering the fierce debate they had about Marcus's fate. "I agree. If we want to promote trust, we have to lead by example. He needs to understand that we are different now." Together, they made a plan to meet with Marcus. The former rebel was being held in a small room, guarded but not treated harshly. As they entered, Marcus looked up, surprise etched on his face. "Captain, Princess, what do you want?" he asked, his voice filled with bitterness. "We want to talk," Alex said, keeping his tone even. "You made mistakes, but we believe in second chances." Marcus scoffed, crossing his arms. "You think I deserve forgiveness after what I did? I almost got you all killed." "You did make a terrible choice," Lyra interjected, "but we have lost many. We can't afford to lose more lives because of hatred. We want to move forward, and that includes you." Marcus looked uncertain, his defenses weakening as he searched their faces for sincerity. "And what if I refuse to cooperate?" Alex stepped closer. "Then you will miss the chance to be part of something bigger. We are rebuilding our community, and we need everyone who believes in peace." After a long pause, Marcus sighed. "I don't know if I can change. I've hurt too many people. You can start by helping us. Show us that you want to be part of this alliance," Lyra urged. "Help us teach others that there is strength in unity." Slowly, Marcus nodded, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "All right, I'll try." With a sense of relief, Alex and Lyra left the room. They knew that it would take time, but this was a step towards healing. The three of them could work together to show the others that change was possible. As the days turned into weeks, the base transformed. The rebels and Xanthara worked hand in hand, sharing skills, stories, and traditions. They built a community that celebrated their differences and honored their shared goals. Lyra organized cultural exchanges, allowing both sides to learn from each other. The bond between humans and Xanthara grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they held a festival to celebrate their new alliance. Music filled the air, and laughter echoed as people danced together. Alex and Lyra stood side by side, watching the joyous celebration unfold. "Look at them," Lyra said, her heart full. "This is what we fought for." "Yeah," Alex replied, smiling. "It's a new beginning for all of us." In that moment, Alex knew that they had not only survived the battle but had forged a future filled with promise. They had turned pain into strength, and together they would continue to build a world where everyone could thrive. As night fell, the stars twinkled above, a symbol of hope and unity. Alex and Lyra knew that they had much work ahead, but they were ready to face it together. Their journey was just beginning, and with every step, they moved closer to a brighter tomorrow.